Okay, so we're going to make the Pillows for Keeps mask. We have our printed panel and our blank panel. I'm going to take the blank panel. This is the adult size mask, and I'm going to mark an inch from center out, and then I'm going to take the ruler, and on the front of the mask top side, I'm going to measure an inch in from the top on both sides and make a little mark. So that's the marking of our fabrics. Now I'm going to take one strap, place it to the inside of the mark. Take the second strap, line it up with the top of the fabric panel, and take the blank panel and put it precisely over the top of that. I'm going to take a clip and I'm going to clip the strap in between the two pieces of the fabric. Now I'm going to take the elastic and I'm going to fold that over. I'm going to place the elastic in the corner at an angle and line flat. Then flip that, hold it down, put a clip in the corner. Now I'm going to do the same, making sure that that lays flat on the lower corner. Take my other piece of elastic and do the same on this side. Corner at an angle. Okay, now I'm going to take these two straps and kind of put them together, curl them up a little bit, and stuff them in the inside between the two pieces of fabric, and make sure that they're not, no straps are in the area where we're going to sew the seam. So I want to really make sure that it's tucked toward the center of the two pieces of fabric. I like to clip this top down just so that the fabric stays aligned while I'm sewing. And now we are prepared to go to the machine and sew these two panels together, sew the straps in and the elastics in. So we bring this to the machine. Okay. Now we want to start here at this mark. Back stitch, go down, go all the way around and up to this mark here, leaving an opening in the two panels. We're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I start at that first mark, about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Couple stitches, back stitch. Now when I get down to the corner, I'm going to release the clip, but I want to hold that elastic in place. So I'm going to press down and I'm going to make sure that that elastic is still at the angle. I'm going to sew over the elastic. I'm going to reinforce it by going back and forward a little. Turn. Go down this side. Again, I'm going to release, hold that elastic in place. Go over, go a couple back, turn. Now this is where the strap is in. So again, release. I'm going to hold that strap and make sure it's in place and flush to the top. And sew over it. I'm going to go back to reinforce it, and I'm going to continue on. Here's the second strap. When I clip this corner, the upper right hand corner, on this one, because that strap gets really close to the clip, I tend to clip it really close to the corner. And release. Reinforce the elastic. go to that mark, reverse, finish it off. Okay, now we clip the threads and we turn this right side out. I usually work from the corners. I take this corner first and stuff it through. This is just from doing so many. I kind of know the fastest way to turn them right side out. You can pull on the straps to get them out, and the corners, your elastic should be in there nice and firmly, so you can go ahead and, you know, pull the corners out, making sure. If there's a stubborn corner, you could take a dowel or something and really poke those corners through, but you want to have a nice, you know, nice corners. Okay, so now we go back to the work table. And we are ready to put the nose piece in. To do this, I use a centering ruler, and I make sure that I go by the insides of the straps, and I make sure that it's center, and I measure, I have a special mark. It's about 1 inch in from the inside of the strap, and I just put a little tiny dot there. I take my nose wire, I insert it into the opening, and I shimmy it underneath. You want it to be underneath the top layer of fabric only. I don't want it to be back here. It needs to go on top of the seams, so there should only be 1 layer of fabric over that nose wire. Then I line up the end with the little dot, and then I hold it and I just slide the other end up. So then I just kind of shimmy it so that it is all the way up to the top of the mask. Then I clip it in place. I do another check with the centering ruler, and I just kind of see and make sure that it's centered. So that looks really good to me. Now we go back to the sewing machine and we sew the casing around the nose wire. For this, I use my zipper foot so that I can get as close to the ends of the wire as possible. So what I'll do now is I'll find the end and I'll kind of hold it, and I actually use my fingernail to place it, and I want to place it, so this is the end of the nose wire, and I want to kind of line it up with the edge of the presser foot. So I go down. I like to hold the thread because sometimes it creates the little nest, the bird's nest, if you don't, on the back of it. So we're in there, needle down. I start with the back stitch on this, and I go off of the end. I come back down just enough to know that I am past the bottom of the nose strip. Then I'll back stitch again because I really want this casing to be reinforced, and then turn. Oops. Okay, now I have just enough, the needles here, and you see there's just enough space. You don't want to leave too much space because then the nose strip will flip around. So you want to get as close to the edge of the bottom edge of the nose wire as possible. And now I'll unclip. Okay, technical difficulty, here we go again. All right, so now I'm just going to sew down. As you can see, the edge of the presser foot kind of is a guide, you know, and it's running right along the bottom end of the nose wire. So I'm just going to run it down. I get to, this is the end of the nose wire. I take it to the end, turn. I go right off the top of the mask, back, and off the top again. Done. Okay, then we cut our threads. And now we're ready to do pleats. Take it back to the work table. Okay, so, oops, sorry. Okay, so now we have everything sewn in, the straps, the elastics, the nose wires in there. Now I'm going to iron these down. What you want to do here is to fold them over so that, and close them up. And what I find works really well is after you fold, if you apply a little pressure, you know, just stretch it out. And then I just take it and make sure that they're even. Flip it over one more time. See, there's a little boopy there. I don't know what else to call that, so I don't like that. So I'm gonna fold that up a little bit more. Make sure these are aligned. That's better. It is going to happen, it's inevitable, but I'm gonna press that down. When we sew it, it'll be good to go. Okay, I'm just gonna iron that, and then I'm gonna run the iron over the rest of the mask, or the panel. Not running, don't iron over the elastic because that will melt. But this will make the fabric a little more pliable when we do our pleats. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm gonna take the mask, I'm gonna fold it in half, and I'm just going to kind of pinch down here just to find the center. And this is where we start our pleats. So there's the center of the mask. I do this eyeballing it. I don't really measure and mark. And my pleats are about 1/4 of an inch wide. So there's the center. I'm going to take that and I'm going to make my first pleat. Clip. Then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to do the same on the other side. And again, I'm going to eyeball this just to kind of make sure that there's the same amount here, 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 and here. That looks pretty good to me. So I do another clip. That's the first pleat. Now I'm going to do the second one. And it's the same process. You just want to fold it over, and you really want to nest the end of that fold up against the other top fold here. So you really want to nest the pleats, you know, tightly. Clip there. I'm going to flip it and do the same over on this side. And again, I just kind of finagle it a bit and make sure that the distance here and here are the same. Clip. And I just keep flipping it back and forth. The adult masks get 3 pleats. The kids get 2 pleats. And again, I just want to make sure that we're really, you know, close here with the amount of space on all of the pleats. Okay, so those are all in. Now I fold the nose over and I kind of just press it down with my hand, and I adjust for any little bubbles like this. I just smooth them out. If there's a wrinkle like that, you can go underneath just to flatten it out and make sure that the pleats are really nice. Then I flip, and I do the same on the back, just to make sure that they're in there good. Okay, so now all the pleats are in. I press it. You don't have to, but I do. Again, it helps to just make the mask look more crisp. I don't need to press the back side. Now we go back to the machine and sew down the pleats. Change back to my regular presser foot. When you're doing these in bulk, you know, I just keep the presser foot in and do a bunch at a time. I change my stitch width to well, on my machine, it's going to be different on everyone's machines. It just depends on what needle you're using and being able to get through the pleats without a lot of resistance. So your machine is going to be different. And again, we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to go down this side. We're going to go back and down again just to reinforce those pleats. Then we're going to switch to about an 1/8 inch seam allowance when we turn it, and come down here, and you really want to make sure you're at about an 1/8 of an inch, because you need to sew that space, the gap down. So an 1/8 of an inch all the way down here. Then we're going to turn it again, 1/4 of an inch, go down, back, down, off the end, and finish with a reverse stitch there. What I like to do is to hold the pleats in place, remove the clips, and that's about 1/4 of an inch. Start, and sometimes this will happen because the material's so thick, so sometimes you just gotta help it out a little bit by moving. And again, it depends on what needle you have in and what your stitch width is. Okay, now we go back down to about an 1/8 of an inch away from the end. Needle down, turn, and now we're gonna do an 1/8 of an inch down this side. And then I'm gonna get to about 1/4 of an inch on this end. Hold the pleats down, remove the clips. Back down. Right off the end, and then finish with the reverse stitch. And that is all of the sewing of your mask. We'll go over here and take a look at it. I'm going to trim our threads. Then I'm going to check to make sure that the back is, there's no hole at this opening. You want to make sure that's sewed down. Now this is where I'll clean it up, and any loose little tiny threads I'll get rid of. That looks pretty good. And that is basically it. I mean, that's the bulk of the mask. Now we will add the ear toggles and the clasp breakaway clasps.